Hey, come here, Ed. Hey, buddy. Come here. Alright, guys, these are camels. These guys, that one, as far as we know, is the biggest camel in North America. Google says he's the biggest camel in North America, at least. I can't particularly tell you because I haven't seen every camel in North America, but according to Google, he's the biggest. That guy is 7.5 feet tall. He weighs 1,750 pounds. The most interesting thing about a camel is their ability to store and use water in the form of fat. On the hottest day in the desert, a camel can go 10 days to 2 weeks with not one single drop of water. Here, buddy, you want to give her that carrot? In the hottest day in the desert, a camel can go 10 days to 2 weeks with not a single drop of water. In that period of time, they can lose 30% of their body mass to dehydration. So if that camel lost 30% of his body mass, that would mean that he could lose, if you hold those, the camel might come back. That would mean that he could lose 500 pounds to dehydration. So if I lost 30% of my body mass because I had no water for 10 days to 2 weeks, and I lost 30% of my body mass, that would be 60 pounds to dehydration. Honestly, closer to 70 right now. But anyhow, if I lost 60 pounds to dehydration because I had no water for 10 days, here's a special word for what I would be, and that word is, that's the one. And if the camel lost 500 pounds because he had no water for 10 days, special word for what he would be is, yeah, that's true, thirsty. If the camel is thirsty, oh my goodness, he's thirsty. If that camel had actually lost 30% of his body mass, the next time he got to a significant source of water, he could drink 50 gallons of water in under 3 minutes. Those barrels back there behind us, the white ones, those are 55-gallon drums. That means that that camel could drink that barrel nearly full in 3 minutes. That's chucking down 17 gallons per minute, or roughly 1 gallon in 4 seconds. So he could drink a gallon of milk faster than you could pour it on the floor. That begs the question how, because the only tank in the camel is his stomach. That's the only place there's liquid water in the camel, and his stomach only holds 7 to 10 gallons of water. So the way that it works, camels, like people, are born with the approximate number of fat cells they're ever going to have, but camels, like people, their fat cells can be very different size at different times in their life. For a human, we're all normal size humans, so suppose that this was normal size for a human fat cell, and we had a burning desire to star in the show My 600-Pound Life. Our fat cells could go from something like this to something like that, dozens or hundreds of times their original volume. Camels are the opposite. Camels walk around with their fat cells the size that we would call super morbidly obese, and as they dehydrate, their fat cells can shrink all the way down to the size that we would call normal. So as a camel dehydrates, his red blood cells, which are normally oval, go from oval down to flat, and his fat cells go from normal for a camel down to normal for a human. Difference being, when he gets to the other side of the desert and he's going to drink 50 gallons of water in 3 minutes, what's going to happen is that his red blood cells will go from flat, just boom, right back to oval as fast as he can swallow the water, and then his fat cells will go from normal for a human to normal for a camel. For a human to go from this to that is months or years of unlimited access to ridiculous amounts of food. For a camel to go from this to that is approximately 40 seconds on an 3.5 minutes on a whole body basis. What a camel taught me about the Bible is when in the Old Testament it talks about the servant is looking for a bride for his master's son. And he says, "Oh Lord, let it be a sign to me that the young woman would offer to water not only me but the camels as well." Before I had camels, I'm like, so what? She gives your animal a drink. Who cares? Let's talk about a burning bush, a bush from above. Throw out a sheet of wool for Pete's sake. But now that I have camels and I understand that that one could drink 30 and this one could drink 50, back up a few verses and see he was walking with 10. Now we're talking about a young lady is going to dip up 300 to 500 gallons of water with a, that hits a little different. If you read a few verses later, it says that the servant stands and watches until she completes the task. If I'm the young lady, I'm saying, dude, grab a bucket. This is your camel, right? So what I learned from that is if there's something in the Bible that I don't understand, that doesn't make it wrong. It just means I don't understand, because the Bible is true and accurate in every regard. And sometimes you're like, huh, look at that. I didn't understand that before. And every time you read it, you'll come up with more of those. All right, guys. I have one more animal to show you inside of the barn before we go. But did anybody have questions out here before we go back in? And those two over there are Marty and Jaja. Marty is a boy. Jaja is a girl. Jaja will have a baby probably in the next month, possibly as soon as this week. She has